sir. May I ask you who you're planning to vote for in the general election?
None of them.
None of them? Why none of them, sir? Go on, this is interesting stuff.
Because they're all in it for themselves.
Can I ask who you're planning to vote for on July the 4th? Do you have any...
It's not the Tories.
Who are you planning to vote for on July the 4th?
No idea.
No idea? I don't... Yeah, he's a man with a plan. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Hello. I'm coming to you from a very wet and wild Chichester, the cathedral city of Chichester in the constituency of Chichester. Now, you may have watched my relatively recent video on Godalming, beautiful Godalming, which is the seat of Jeremy Hunt. It's a seat which in many ways resembles this one. It's very pretty. There is that. But also, it's a Lib Dem Tory marginal. And the Lib Dems are looking to win. It's been a Tory seat for a very long time. In fact, it's been a Tory seat without any kind of interruption at all since 1924. It's been a Tory seat for 100 years. Now, Chichester as a constituency is one of the oldest around. It dates back to the mid to late 13th century, and the Tories have basically had it since the 1860s, since the Second Reform Act. So very significant if the Lib Dems can win here. Now, they think they can. The MP here, a Tory, Gillian Keegan. So in some ways, similar to Godalming. When we talk about the blue wall, I think Sussex really is the cornerstone of that, really, historically. And the point of today, really, is to get a bit of a snapshot about this cornerstone, this foundation stone of the blue wall, which is Sussex. If the Tories lose this county, it really is game over. But are they about to lose it? Let's find out.
I've just seen, so we were just driving in, and as you come in, there's a bunch of Lib Dem signs coming in as you go through, like all through the suburbs, just house after house. You can see it's just we support Lib Dems working for us.
Chichester Lib Dem.
Just is that a tactical vote?
Yep.
To get the Tories out?
Completely.
And what do you think about Gillian Keegan? She's obviously...
She's gone.
Has she been a good MP or...?
No, that's why I won't vote for her.
And do you think the Tories will lose on July the 4th in this seat?
In this seat?
Yes.
Don't know. I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know. She's got a good majority, so wait and see.
It's a shambles, quite frankly, and it's 14 years that we've allowed ourselves to get into this position. Don't start me on Brexit. Anyway, I think you've had enough, haven't you?
I think that's pretty clear, sir. Are you a Chichester resident, or...? Lots of people are mentioning the harbour and the water.
Well, there you are. It's quite important, isn't it?
But it's something that sort of the average Conservative voter who might have a boat or a beach hut is actually getting really angry about, you know?
Well, I'm not an average Conservative voter, I can assure you.
Do you think the Conservatives have done a good job in the last 14 years?
Yes.
You know, a good job?
Brilliant.
They've had a hard job, and they've lost.
They have, and they've done so well.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of trust in the public, but not always been their fault. They've made a lot of mistakes, of course, with Partygate and stuff like that. But I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, Labour would have done the same to a certain degree.
I mean, it was so difficult for them. They paid people when they were out of work. I think they were marvellous. I really do.
And you think Rishi Sunak's doing a good job?
Brilliant. I like Rishi.
Yeah, he's made a few mistakes, but we'll see. We'll see. Whether he's well loved in his party or not, I don't know. But what's the alternative?
I was thinking about Farage.
Farage, reform.
He's stirring them all up.
Yeah, what about you, madam?
Same.
Yeah? Where are you guys?
I've always been Conservative. We've always been, but I think they're out of touch with.
I think if they brought Boris back, they might have a chance.
So you're a Chichester man?
I am, yeah, I live in Chai, yeah, as we call it, yeah.
Chai?
Chai, that's what we all call it, yeah.
What are people from Chichester called?
Old farts, no, there isn't such a name, I don't think, for people from Chichester.
How are you planning to vote? Most importantly, sir, on July the 4th.
I've voted Labour all my life. There's a trouble with the first past the post, isn't it? You kind of like, it is a bit of a wasted vote in this area. You've got such a massive Conservative majority. But then again, you've got Keegan, who's she's a cabinet minister, and that kind of tends to make them not hugely popular locally because they're too busy, doing their education portfolio, and they haven't got a lot of time for local issues. And there's a huge amount of local issues around. We've got Chichester Harbour, which is a big thing for people, around here, and it's polluted by the water companies and so on. So there's a lot of local issues that can be laid at the Conservatives' door. So, you never know. The Lib Dems might get in.
So the
Maybe
water.
Water
seems like a really big issue here.
It's huge, yeah, it is. Because, basically you've got the South Downs just to the north of here, pointing vaguely in that direction. And you've got you get a lot of water that gets stored up in there, and it comes down through the chalk. So you get a lot of rain in the winter, and it keeps coming. And all the local villages to the north of here have what are called winterbournes, which are rivers that only come up in the winter, and that coupled with a lot of cesspits and not mains drainage mean that you get a lot of pollution in the water, and that all goes in the harbour, and then all the sewage works, all pumping sewage into the harbour as well. So it's dreadful. I've got a dinghy, and sometimes when we go out, it's just all basically turds floating around in the water, So it's shocking, and I guess that's one of the big local issues here. Yeah.
Can I ask who you're planning to vote for on July the 4th, on the general election?
I'm probably going to not vote for any of them.
Why is that?
Why? Because I've been voting for Tory all my life, and they're a waste of time. Labour don't seem to be any better. I just don't know.
So you're not planning to vote, but as a Tory voter, you're upset with them?
Yes.
What's upset you the most about the Conservatives?
It's everything. It's the asylum seekers. They're not doing anything about it. And when we came out of Brexit, all the promises that they made have not happened. So anyway, that's it.
England's England. And sometimes I don't even want to be here.
Why is that?
Bad.
Well, it's getting worse.
Too many bloody foreigners. You look around, there's a foreigner. No more England. Might as well name it something else. Hell.
Hell? Why hell?
There's too many foreigners.
Immigrants are jarring.
There we go, what he said.
What's that?
Immigrants are jarring.
What does that mean, jarring?
Annoying. Send them back. You have homeless English people not getting housed, but you have immigrants that come here. They're illegal and they get housed. It's a joke.
So just illegal? You're saying just illegal?
Illegal immigrants.
But legal? I'm talking about. I just asked that. Just about legal migrants.
Yeah, but even if they're legal immigrants, they still shouldn't be put over English people. No, shouldn't. We spend too much tax money on immigrants, and I think that's a joke. And we should worry about our own people before others.
Do you think the political class generally are doing that then?
No. I think the Conservative Party is an absolute joke, and young people in this country don't have a voice, and it makes me sick.
And so if you could vote, lads, who would you vote for?
Who would I vote for?
Yeah.
Reform UK, probably.
Yeah. That's the one.
Reform UK.
Yes, mate.
Reform UK.
Yes. And get rid of that Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister. Get rid of him.
Water mug.
Yes.
So the media would say that people that vote Reform UK, older, boomers,
Yeah.
racists.
It's Reform UK though.
But hold on one sec. But we've got a young guy, mixed heritage,
Yep.
who's saying Reform UK. So
Yep.
what are those people wrong about? What attracts you to Reform UK?
Reform UK is that, if you're an actual English citizen, you actually have a voice in what happens in this country. But then with a Conservative Party, we don't ever get a voice. So Conservatives just rich people doing what they want to make the most money that they can, which has always been for ages. But Reform UK, actual working class English people have a voice in what happens in the country.
We were talking to some young boys over there a moment ago, and they really surprised me because they said they were into Reform UK.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying. Everyone around Chai has been saying that they're like Reform UK, they're very into it. I haven't really heard many people talking about Labour. It's mainly just been Reform UK, like people, like 15, 16 and everything, just been talking.
That will surprise many people.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange because most people think Reform voters, older, homeowners, blokes in their 50s and 60s. You're saying it's kids in Chichester. Sorry, kids. Young adults in Chichester.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of people that are just, if you ask anyone around here, like 15, 16, maybe even young, they'll all just say like it's all about Reform UK. They don't really have an opinion on like Conservatives or Labour, or it's just,
Why though? What's driving them to that opinion?
I don't know, I think it's because TikTok, because there's been a lot of things about Reform UK coming from like other teens in other places, it will be like they'll kind of be influenced by that. And it will be like, because social media has got such an impact and influence on other young people, it will be mainly just because other people are saying Reform UK, it will be everyone else. I think it's kind of just more of a bias thing.
Sir, madam. Hello, may I ask who you're planning to vote for on July the 4th?
Who are we planning to vote for?
Yes.
The Liberal Democrats.
The Liberal Democrats.
We've had enough of the Tories.
And do you think that applies here in Chichester too?
Yes. Yes, I think it does.
And amongst your friends, what's the word on the street?
Similar situation. You know, I mean, we're fed up with what they've done to the NHS. Can you think? The economy.
Well, absolutely everything. You know, got no working public services at the moment.
No. And, well, the country's a mess.
And also things like sewage, the pollution in Chichester Harbour at the moment, which is pretty serious. I mean, we've got a beach hut, but we aren't at all sure of whether we should be letting our children and grandchildren go into the water.
It's terrible, absolutely terrible.
You know, we've had all these privatised industries with regulators, but the government just doesn't seem to have been controlling the regulators at all. You know, the water industry in particular is showing signs of total collapse because they're having taken so much money out in terms of dividends, they just don't have enough cash to invest. And the government is now saying, well, you know, you as a consumer of water we're going to have to pay, you know, an extra 50% or whatever it is over the next 10 years.
Yep. Discontent, very much so.
I probably won't bother to vote. I drive my car and there's bloody great potholes in the road. So they've let the infrastructure go completely. If you're riding on a bike, if you're old or anything like that, I mean, I really don't think politicians give a damn.
If you don't mind me asking, who did you vote for in the last general election? Or who have you generally voted for?
Generally through my life I've been more socialist. I thought Tony Blair was rubbish. He got so many young men killed in Iraq. So many, well, more Iraqis than Brits. Destabilised the Middle East. I think support for Israel is disgusting, which the present government seem to pal up with America on. I think they should have been more decisive on Ukraine and kicked the Russians out instead of all this fiddling around with rockets. The local planners here are obviously government stooges. They're selling off perfectly good ordinary houses to properties developers. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Then. To people who come down from London and buy great big houses and spoil. They don't know the feeling of the place. I love Chichester. They haven't really messed that up yet. I'd just say a curse on all of them. It's jobs for the boys. The potholes, I mean, they haven't been mentioned, but it's a huge part of the infrastructure of this country. It's not just here, it's everywhere. Great big holes in the road. I don't know. I really don't know.
But so you're saying you don't plan to vote plague on all their houses, perhaps, but it sounds to me like you think there should be a change.
I don't know whether our system of politics really works. We get in, they get in once every 5 years on a series of promises, completely cock things up, and then make another series of promises every 5 years. I wouldn't like a dictatorship, but I look at some countries where they just get on with their living and they're governed. And all this so-called democracy that we have, there's no long-term sticking to things. You know, it's just, I mean, they're doing it now. We're not going to tax you, we are going to tax you, but we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And in 5 years' time, they'll be doing the same thing over again. I used to watch Parliament, but I don't do it anymore. I just think politicians generally, from parish council right up to the top, are complete rubbish. It's jobs for the boys. It's what we can do. Look at me, what I'm doing. But the ordinary person, the old people, probably the young people, they don't get a break. So I don't think I'm going to bother, no. Does that answer your question?
In full, sir. Thank you very much. Cheers. So what have we learnt from our little jaunt in Chichester, besides the fact it has a rather pretty cathedral with a separate bell tower? Very unusual, that. But anyway, we've learnt a few things, besides the British summer weather being rather variable. And actually, I'm surprised at what we've learnt. Today we've heard a lot of the stuff that Moya heard in Lee Anderson's seat, that I heard in Godalming or in Fareham, or that we heard in Clacton. There's obviously themes being repeated again and again and again, and there are themes being repeated in seats like this in the so-called Blue Wall, for sure. But there are a few conversations today which really stuck with me. One we recorded, which was the older gentleman saying he probably won't vote. He identified as being a socialist in the past, and he had absolutely no trust in the political process or politicians generally. He'd been blackpilled, basically. There was another conversation with another older gentleman, rang a barber, certainly the weather for it, and he said essentially the same, but he was a conservative, he was a lifelong conservative, a proper old boy. He was pro-national service, been in the army, and he should be the quintessential Tory voter. He's not going to vote. Guys in their 80s, ex-army, lifelong Tory voters, prosperous, middle-class people, quite well off, saying they won't vote, saying they've given up on the political process. We had two people say that. Only one was caught on camera. The other gentleman didn't want to talk. Very friendly, but just didn't want to relay that stuff on camera. And I find that really intriguing. We didn't really encounter that in Godalming very much. Everyone is blackpilled, is my takeaway from today. Everyone. Since Brexit in 2016, we've heard about, more and more groups feeling disenchanted, disengaged with the political process. Young people, the left behind blue-collar workers who came out and voted for Brexit. We've heard that theme many, many times. But what I've kind of concluded from today is that even lifelong voters, left or right, in well-off places who are doing pretty well, we're only an hour from London here, Chichester is not left behind, believe me. Even those people have completely lost faith in the political process to solve problems. Basic problems, big problems, but they've lost faith in it. They don't think politicians can deliver. And actually, more than once, they said that they're not sure if democracy can deliver. Now, of course, that's the fertile ground in which people like Nigel Farage are trying to work. A wholesale discontent with the political process, and of course, that's generally where populism does really well. But I doubt many people would think that a former Royal Engineer walking around Chichester in a Barber would be amenable to populism. And indeed, that gentleman isn't going to vote for reform. But he has given up on mainstream politics. People in their droves are giving up on mainstream politics. Because fundamentally, trust in the political process is key. And if that goes, then this veneer of civility and democracy starts to look rather shaky. So I'll keep those two older gentlemen in mind, I think, particularly when reflecting on what politics could look like over the next 5, 10, 15 years, because I suspect that idea of discontent, of all politicians being the same, the populist wave, it's been here for a long time. It's been with us for more than, a decade, really. But it's now fully mainstream. It's now fully the norm. It is not left-wingers on Twitter like yours truly talking about it. It's retired Royal Engineers wearing barber coats in Chichester talking about it. So we've been to Chichester, we've been to Fareham, we've been to Ashfield, we've been to Clacton, we've been to Godalming. You can probably see a theme with some of those. We're generally in the south, looking at the Blue Wall for now, or at least I certainly am. But where should we go next? Here in Chichester today, I actually learnt a lot. I learnt a lot about low turnout, about how everyone is black-pilled. Is there a seat like this where I might learn something similar? Doesn't matter where it is, north, south, east, west. We're willing to go there. Put your recommendations or your thoughts, your comments in the comments below and let us know where might be interesting for the Novara media team to rock up next. Doesn't have to have a Waitrose. That was just a joke, guys. Chichester has been very interesting, as have all the other places, but it can look very different. It can be in England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, doesn't matter. We're open to your thoughts. So yes, where next should we go? And you never know. Put that comment below and you might see Moya, or maybe me, or maybe Claire, or maybe even Ash in a place near you very soon.